We sincerely apologize for that break in transmission. We'll continue with our discussion. I still have in the studio with me the sector commander for the FRS CFCT command. Well, let me allow you to complete your thoughts on the deployment.
Okay, like I said, our deployment takes care of the inside of the FCT and also the out routes. Now, if you're looking at Zuba through to Kaduna Road, we have a standby tow truck that will remove whatever obstruction that is on that route. If you're also looking at the Giri through to Lokoja, we also have a deployment. We have a help area at that location that responds 24 hours to every incident on that route. The same thing is applicable to the routes from Nyanya to Kefi. So we have taken care of the outlet of all the FCT and also what happens within the FCT. As for now, we still have very large population of traffic within the FCT. We are expecting that between now and the 22nd or thereabouts of the month, we may likely have a reduced traffic flow within the FCT when we concentrate on the flow of traffic from the three routes that lead in and out of the FCT.
Okay, now talking about the outflow of traffic, what are you doing to ensure that drivers, especially commercial drivers, comply with safety rules? One, we know this is a period where we see much of overloading, overspeeding, and sometimes fatigue on the side of the drivers, trying to meet up with the demands of trying to make ends meet at this period of time due to the high volume of persons traveling. What are you doing to ensure that these safety rules are being obeyed, especially with commercial drivers?
Okay, let me commend the media, particularly. You are part of what has been happening. We have started this sensitization very long time before now, and I think that has helped us. We started the sensitization far back as September. And because of that, I can give you the assurance that there's a lot of compliance on the highway. We have had experiences where drivers misbehave, and the union had turned them to us. We had that experience on Friday of a particular driver that was drunk, and the union called me and said, this is the situation and we have to take charge of that situation. So we're having a very high level of compliance among drivers that are picking passengers from here to locations outside the FCT, and that has made it a little bit easier for us. On Friday through to Saturday, we were on the Abaji, Yangoji, through to Lokoja route, and we saw a lot of compliance. Those that were using one way before, we see and other agencies of government joining hands with us to ensure that those things are not happening on the highway. And I think precisely that is one of the reasons why we're having less of crashes. I can give you the statistics today that when we started 17th till now, we have not had any fatal crash. We had a minor crash on the 17th involving two trucks at Zuba that led to a little hold up, but that was cleared. And yesterday, we had also a crash at Abaji precisely, but then that did not lead to deaths. So we're looking at a possibility of having no fatal crash within the period, like we said from the beginning. So I want to say that the sensitization in the FCT particularly that started since September has paid, and we're having a lot of good experience in the FCT.
So apart from these drivers, let's look at the passengers. They have a role to play in all this to ensure that we have a pitch-free accident roadside. For those who are traveling for a distance, are there measures or are there advices supposed to do? What are they supposed to do when they get to park? For instance, we know before now, when you get to a park, you can inspect the vehicle to be sure the vehicle you're about to board is in good state before you board it. What's the responsibility of the passengers? Okay,
again, that is still advisory, like we said before. If you get to the park, make sure that you know the driver who is driving this vehicle. It is your responsibility to find out if the driver has had some level of influence. Maybe he's drunk or his behavior is not too fine. You have the right to complain. And if the vehicle is not in good condition, the tires are not in good position and things like that, you have the right to complain. And if you have taken off the journey and you notice a particular behavior of the driver while you are still on the road, you have the right to complain. And that is why we have our patrol teams on the routes. And not only our patrol teams, we have the police, we have other agencies of government that are there to ensure that you arrive at your destination safely. When you get to a particular location and you notice that, look, the driver's behavior I don't like, complain to the agencies that are on the road, and then measures will be taken to ensure that we don't have a mishap on the road. And apart from that, there are instances where the passengers create a bottleneck for the driver himself. A situation where you engage into yourself into unnecessary arguments that would distract the driver, or some other persons will put pressure on the driver and said I'm in a hurry and things like that, that makes the driver now to be influenced to be on high speed. That is not a good development. So people must keep themselves in such a way that whatever thing that you are doing, plan it in such a way that you don't become a stumbling block to other road users on the highway.
Do you still do this alcohol tests for drivers?
Very well.
But we still see those who sell those alcohol to these drivers still in the park. I know you cannot really stop them, but how do you checkmate this?
But I can give you the very high level of confidence that within the FCT, we are not having that experience now. Because before now, we were at the motor park, like Jabi Park, for instance. We had meetings several times before the activity started fully. And we know that all the sale of alcohol in those environments were cleared. And we came into that level of understanding with the union members that, look, this thing should not be allowed to continue. And we have been doing checks from time to time. We have our men that are into road traffic and road transport safety standardization scheme that goes into all these parks on daily basis for checks. And then the report we are getting clearly shows that they are not allowing this sale of alcohol within the parks anymore. The challenge we are having actually is a situation where a driver leaves a particular park and goes to the road on the highway and he branches to get drunk. We have had these experiences before. There's a particular case that a passenger reported, and then the vehicle was tracked. The vehicle was traced and eventually arrested at Gegu Command, and the vehicle was impounded. So these are the experiences that we're having on the highway, where we have a very high level of cooperation from the passengers themselves and high level of cooperation from the union within the park. So I think this is helping us to reduce those incidences that we've been having in the past. So
you're assuring the FCT residents and probably visitors alike that this Utah season, the Federal Road Safety is fully on ground to ensure that we celebrate this at least minimal accidents for this period.
I think that is what we're looking at. I want to say that precisely on the 14th of this month, we did what we call Operation Show of Readiness.
Okay.
And we demonstrated to the whole world and to every resident in FCT that we are ready. And we are more than ready. I think the dimension that I will want to look at and also appeal to citizens in the FCT is the issue I raised about Area 1. And I think we had a little experience also in Abaji of some level of attacks, where hoodlums from nowhere, attack law enforcement agencies that are trying to keep the road safe. And the experience we had, one of our staff is still admitted in the hospital. And then the case of Abaji had to do with bandits that almost came and then attacked a particular agency of government. Ours was not involved in that case, but it's still unfortunate that we're having this kind of experience at this time that all hands must be on deck to ensure that there's safety on the highway. So as long as we have this level of cooperation from the media and from all agencies of government in the FCT, I can assure Nigerians resident in FCT that we have a safe trip throughout the period.
Yeah, before I let you go, there is this trend. Once the roads are empty, we see people come out to do speed cars on the Abuja roads because of the state of the road. For instance, you said from 22, where we're expecting to be seeing very low vehicular movement in the city center. When you talk about enforcement, what do you do about this, particularly underage who come out with luxury cars and try to destabilize those who are moving freely on the road through when they engage in speed, just raising inside Abuja town?
And that is why we are aware of this fact. In the past, we have had meetings with them. We have made them realize that.
Are there a particular group of people that
we know them?
this?
We are familiar with them. You know, we have been meeting them at various times. The last time they wanted to do that, we met them and we had some level of understanding. We know that the government is aware of this. You know, just that in the FCT at the moment we don't have provision for that. You know, as it is a sport of its own. And when it is provided, when those areas are provided, they can do that at a designated place that is provided for that. And I think the government is working towards that. But as far as we are concerned at the moment, since there are no provisions for that, and the danger associated with doing that on the highway is a very high risk. So we expect that they will cooperate with us and issues like that will not repeat in the FCT.
All right, I must thank you so much for being on the program. Sector Commander, FRSC, FCT Commander Charles August Samuel. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. I appreciate this.
All right, this is where we end our discussion this morning, as well as the program this morning on ITV. Until we come your way again, same time tomorrow, on behalf of the producer Al-Hassan Bala and my co-presenter Joseph Kadri, we say have a lovely day and stay glued to ITV for the rest of our programs.